Hello, and welcome to the episode of the Caffeinated Librarians, MPL's pop culture podcast. We're continuing our Strange Casserole series with a discussion of the 2005 British-American dark fantasy film, Mirrormask, which is also available on streaming on Canopy. So if you're not familiar with that library service, please come in or give us a call, and we'll tell you about it. It's a really great service, a lot of great documentaries, foreign films, classic films. It's a really great service.
Do canopies make anybody else think of hammocks?
Yes.
Like, there should be a sister service
Called Hammock.
Called Hammock? Well,
And
Or
what would
maybe
that?
it'll be music or something.
I was just going to ask, what would that
You know?
provide?
Yeah.
okay. Well, you can always suggest it. Get in touch with Canopy.
I don't know if we should I think we should start it. We should.
should
Oh,
just
as a
start it.
library? That would be
Invent it.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Hammock, the new music streaming service, brought to you by Mayapack Public Library.
As an
think we should
aside,
get-
could we do something like that?
I mean,
think that
it
would
probably
be-
cost quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
We could physically start a platform. That's easy.
Yeah.
It's the getting the rights to the music and
We would need to get paid more than what we're getting paid now in order to recoup our losses if this was going to be a paying venture.
recuperation station.
Yeah.
Well, it could be something to consider. So, Mirrormask is designed and directed by Dave McKean and written by Neil Gaiman, and the film stars Stephanie Leonidas, Jason Barry, Rob Brydon, and Gina McKee.
Is her last name really Leonidas?
Yes.
I wonder if she's related to the ancient king of Sparta, King Leonidas.
I don't know.
Because that's
Such a
what instantly popped in my head. Yes, I am a nerd, Lewis. I thought you knew this already.
Such a nerd.
Anyway,
So-
continue. Sorry.
So prior to the recording, I shared a little video essay with my colleagues, and it's by a YouTuber called A Bit Frank, and she talks about...
A very good YouTuber.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of her videos.
Yeah.
If you're ever wanting like a pared down version with a lot more subtext to anything you're watching, she's pretty good at doing it. So
Yeah.
shout out to
Yeah.
that YouTuber.
So, Mirrormask was originally conceived as a sequel of sorts to the 80s classic film Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. So that's how it was originally conceived. And the idea was that there would also be goblins in this film. The young woman that the film would center on would be someone who was captured by the Fae and forced to live as a fairy princess, and the actual fairy princess would be brought to our world and forced to live as a human. That idea was scrapped, and we have the current version within the film. So Helena Campbell is the main character, and she works in her family's circus. She has a very tense relationship with her mother, as many young girl, like it's something that happens, like especially when she wants to live her own life, try to find her own identity, and she feels trapped by having to work in her family's circus. So the film opens up during a night performance. Helena and her mom have exchanged some tense words.
Oh, it's definitely an argument.
Yeah, and Helena's mom collapses, and you realize that she has a tumor in her brain and that it needs to be operated
I
on.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it needs to be operated
You
on.
didn't pick up on
I
that?
mean, I knew she was sick, but I didn't know it was a tumor in her brain.
Yeah. So she needs to be operated on. Helena is obviously suffering from a lot of guilt because she feels responsible for causing even though she isn't responsible, she still feels this way.
She should feel guilty.
Yeah.
She's a little brat.
Well, I mean, especially since when her mom says, "You'll be the death of me," and her response is,
I hope, or, yeah, I wish, or
wish I
whatever.
was."
Yeah.
And that.
How rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she should be feeling guilt and maybe a little shame
Yeah,
for
can you
what
imagine if
for
that's
saying
the last
that.
thing you said to your mom?
Oh my God. It would
Well,
be-
yeah, that's why she has that sorry, I got like ink on my hand. She has that moment when she's talking to her dad, when her dad says, that the surgery has been moved up, and she says, I shouted at her, and I haven't really apologized, not that she'll like believe me. So she has a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
She goes to bed, wakes up, and that's when she enters this magical world. And one of the fun things about this world is that, as in the Labyrinth film from the 80s, the world of the Labyrinth is populated with things from Jennifer Connelly's, and I cannot remember her character's name, from her bedroom. So, like, there's a shot when you're like, the camera's panning the room, and you actually see a model labyrinth. A lot of the characters, like the goblin characters that populate the world, are like toys that she has. She has a Goblin King statue. So in this world, the world that Helena enters resembles her drawings. And she even says as much. She was like, this looks really familiar. And she says, oh, I think I'm dreaming this. Because she recognizes that the buildings, it's her creation. And one of the shots of her bedroom is like it's wall to wall, all of her drawings. And just as in with the Labyrinth film, where Jennifer Connelly's character has her hobble, like her goblin guide, Helena has a man named Valentine,
Who also is her like puppet from her bedroom.
Mm-hmm. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
What a creepy looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Can we just agree that this entire dream world, for lack of a better term, is creepy and really gnarly, and I didn't like it.
Well, no doubt.
This is this dude's acid trip. I mean, straight up. I mean, it is creepy, it is freaky, and it gave me a very visceral nightmare.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to use, like you said, you had written down your
I wrote the nightmare. Y'all want me to share my nightmare?
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead. Let's share it.
Because I honestly didn't expect that you would have that response.
So I watched this
to this film
Tuesday night. It creeped me out, man. It creeped me out. There's a woman, and it looks like she's got like toilet paper on her face as her mask. That weirded me out. I'm like, why does she have toilet paper?
It's almost like paper mache. Her mask is made of paper mache.
That doesn't make it better. And then the Valentine guy, it looks like he's like, it almost looks like he's like rubber.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like it.
Or clay.
It's weird.
Yeah, I thought of clay.
Whatever.
Clay
That doesn't
man.
make it better.
Okay.
So,
All right.
check it. Oh, we have an NFL update.
Or like
A 6'4" wide receiver who has 23 starts is signing with the Giants.
nice.
Let's see.
That's not his
Lou,
dream.
back on track.
Back on track, of course.
Especially with the
Lil Jordan Humphrey. That's actually his name. Oh my
Wow.
goodness gracious. So, for some reason, me and some other people, I already told Joe this.
Okay.
We're staying at this like dilapidated house, and it was, for some reason, they were filming The Real World there, and I was on The Real World with these other people, and they were totally normal people, most of these other people.
Okay.
And then, so the first half of the dream was us trying to figure out what the switches in the house did, and the switches looked like the keyholes
Oh, okay.
from
the dream world.
the dream, from
Yeah.
the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a week, more guests came to the house, but they were really weird.
Okay.
So there was a woman with a white mask who crawled around,
Oh.
and she like evaporated, and then the mask floated in the air, and she just like appeared behind it.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
And then there was a man who looked like an elf or a wizard,
Okay.
who said this was his human form, but his other form was a peregrine falcon.
Oh, that is so cool.
I mean that.
And for some reason, my mom was sitting outside the house laughing at everything I was saying, because I guess when the guy told me, not I guess, I mean, this is what I remember. When the guy told me he was a peregrine falcon, I was saying stuff like, oh, I was actually going to guess that. And stuff like that. And,
Okay.
But I remember feeling nervous, and I remember feeling scared.
So So when Helena enters this world, she's immediately accosted by what would be, I guess, the police officers of this world. And they,
No comments. No,
I'll get to.
no like.
I'm sorry, Lewis, that you had a dream like that, because although the Peregrine Falcon guy is really cool, the other person would have freaked me out very much.
They all freaked me.
I
They
will
all
tell you
freak you out.
something because that element reminds me of something I dreamt about, but I'll get to that later. So she is essentially brought before, I guess, so it's the same actor who plays her father in her world. I guess he's almost like a magistrate or some kind of official in some official capacity.
That was the other thing. So you know when Valentine when the somebody says to them that she has like a crush on Valentine or something.
Oh, that's her mom.
Her mom, right? The whole time up until that, I kind of thought Valentine was supposed to be like in place of her father.
Oh, okay.
So when they
No.
said that, I was kind of like, oh.
No.
Like obviously I
Yeah.
I guess I misunderstood it
I did-
or misinterpreted it. Like just no, you're just wrong, Lewis. There's no open interpretation to movies, especially one like this.
The dream was obviously very traumatizing. He hasn't quite processed it yet. So Helena is brought before this official, and he accuses her of being the princess. He says, "Oh, because you look exactly like her, and we would like for you to return what you stole." Helena is obviously very confused, and she says, "I'm not the princess who you're looking for." And he goes, "You sure? Because you really look like her." And he essentially states that the princess from a neighboring kingdom entered their kingdom and stole this artifact. And because this artifact has been stolen, it has thrown the worlds out of balance. And there's this dark, creeping force that's slowly swallowing everything within its path.
Was anyone else kind of turned on by the Dark Queen?
No.
No.
There is something interesting about her.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
I like her costuming.
No.
So Helena basically is taken to this, she's within like the Palace of Light, and she's taken to the queen, who has fallen into a deep slumber. Now, the queen is obviously like, it's the same actress who plays her mom, and Helena says, oh, like, and at one point while Helena's staring at the queen, who's basically in a coma state, it's interposed with her mother in the hospital and the queen. So in Helena's mind, they're one and the same. And Helena decides, I need to find this artifact. Unfortunately, no one knows what the artifact looks like. No one really knows what the artifact does. They just know that because it's been stolen, things are out of whack. And unless it's retrieved, all the worlds will sort of succumb to this creeping darkness and be destroyed. So naturally, when you want information, you go to the library. And that's what Helena and Valentine do. So they go to the library and they meet the librarian. And originally the librarian was conceived as a goblin librarian because, again, they wanted this film to directly tie in with Labyrinth, but that was scrapped and he was just simply known as the librarian, and he's made of books. So the librarian starts telling the creation myth of this story. So there was this young girl that drew and drew and drew, and when she ran out of room, she flipped over her paper and drew on the other side. So there's light and dark, so both worlds coexist, and and unless there is balance, one will overtake the other.
So I just want to say that when they did explain that, I was like, I instantly got Avatar: The Last Airbender kind of thing, yin and yang balance.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have one without the other,
Yeah.
but something's caused the shadow realm to become out of balance. So
Yeah.
now, and I was like, oh, I'm picking up what you're throwing down here.
Yeah.
Movie.
So they go out of the library and they're sort of better informed and have a better idea of what they're supposed to do. And what Helena realizes is if she looks through a window, any window, she can see into the real world where the princess from the Land of Darkness has essentially assumed her life. You could also think of it as a changeling in changeling lore.
Well, I definitely
Yeah.
got that vibe.
Yeah, so just like Helena was dissatisfied with her life, the princess from the Land of Darkness was deeply dissatisfied with her own and decided she was going to book it.
Yeah, she was the princess of the Land of Darkness. Who's
Yeah.
happy about that?
Yeah, so
No sunlight anywhere? No
yeah.
beaches?
So like she can see in, and like Helena realizes, okay, I gotta like move fast because every time she's peers
messing
in,
stuff up.
yeah, and she's
I love
essentially
the line where
acting
she's
out.
like, she's kissing boys and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, you know.
She's like the rebel that Helena thought she could be but can't
Yeah.
really be.
Yeah.
It broke my heart when the shadow princess Helena like was really mean to her father.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he didn't do anything.
Yeah. So as Helena is aware of the princess later becomes aware of Helena because it works both ways. So the windows, so the drawings in the bedroom work in the same way that the windows.
It's not like a one-way mirror.
No, it works both ways. So there's sort of, you know, I'm gonna ignore you. Okay, so the windows in the worlds work both ways. So Helena can see in and see what the princess is doing, and the princess can also see Helena and realizes pretty quickly what Helena is up to. And she slowly starts sort of destroying the world. So she tears up the drawings, and you see how it affects the like dreamlike world that Helena is in. And Helena, like through sort of piecing things together, realizes I have control over the world. And there's a very pretty scene where she's talking to her mom, and the mom says, oh, like, you know, you're in my dream. Like, you know, that's probably because they're poking around in my head. And that's when she sweetly says, oh, did I dream you up a boyfriend?
No.
She sees Valentine, and Helen goes, no. But her mom gives her wonderful advice saying, you know, this is your world. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah.
You've created it. It's your imagination. You know how to find what you're looking for. And Helena listens to her mom, which you already are seeing a change in Helena, where she's really listening to her mom. Her mom is listening to her, and they're working together to figure this out.
Yeah.
So Helena conjures up this room with the many keyholes, because I forgot to mention that she was gifted this key from the orbiting giants. I forgot to mention the orbiting giants, which that's such a sad scene. They gift her this key, and she uses the key to sort of try out each of the locks. And when she finally does find the correct lock,
Valentine that finds the correct lock.
Valentine, yeah, okay. There's only a note. Thank you so much, Lou. What would I do without you? She finally
Give people
like
bad information, I guess.
they find the correct lock, but all that's there is this note. So essentially, whatever they're looking for is no longer in that box. And this is also at the point where the princess sort of finds out where they are, and she takes the drawing and moves it. Because also, just as Helena can manipulate her world, the princess can manipulate the world while she's there too. So she moves over that dome-like structure. She puts her in the Land of Darkness. This is also the moment of betrayal, which mirrors Labyrinth when Hoggle betrays Sarah. That's her name. Sarah. When Hoggle betrays Sarah and he gives her to Jared, the Goblin King. So Valentine has betrayed Helena because there's a monetary reward, and he brings her to her mother, who's the queen of the Land of Darkness. So much like Helena, how she feels about her mom in the real, where her mom doesn't respect her, doesn't give her any autonomy, the Queen of Darkness doesn't respect any of her daughter's decisions, wants. She dresses her the way she wants to dress her. She has zero respect for her daughter and zero interest in her daughter having any autonomy, which is why the daughter ran away in the first place. So Helena sort of is forced to become the princess. There's a very creepy scene where she's dressed by those dolls, and it's like, we long to be. It's like that. That's probably also why you had that nightmare, because that's a really freaky scene where she's being dressed by these like mechanical dolls. And
She became Coraline-esque.
She
with her
did,
black
yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
yeah, because Dave McKean is also the one who illustrated the Coraline book. It's the same illustrator. And she sort of loses her identity. She becomes the princess. Valentine, riddled with guilt, much like Hobble in the Labyrinth film, tries to get Helena to remember who she truly is. He's successful, and together they work out where the Mirrormask is. And it turns out it's a literal mask, which the princess hid in her mirror, in her bedroom mirror. How did you guys feel about that sort of element of the story, like what the mirror mask actually is, where it was hidden?
I was fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This movie as a whole, I was kind of like meh about because I couldn't get past the animation. It was I was like, this is really odd, really creepy. I don't like this. I was fine when they were out in the real world. That's fine, but then this, I was like, no, I'm okay. I don't
know. Even the circus stuff I thought was pretty creepy. But, you know, the thing that I would say is that I think I expected the movie to be a little deeper. Like, you know, with her looking, I thought that they were going to do something where she's like looking through the mirror and like almost seeing like another dimension of like what another reality almost of what would happen if her mother dies. And
okay.
And then when it was just like a literal, like, yeah, the two people just switched places, I was kind of like, I thought they could have done something a little bit more significant, something a little more meaningful, rather than just like a straight up switch. But that being said, I mean, I still was.
It's like you're kind of like a reconciliation between, because this is ultimately like Helena's light side and dark side, and her mom's light side and dark side, because it's like the movie is almost like a what's the word I'm trying to look for? A piece of like what an overbearing parent can be and how that affects their child and all that stuff, and it does show that, but I feel like there should have been some form of reconciliation between the two, rather than Helena in the dream world putting on the mask and then sending her dark side back into the dream world without any type of like, I don't know, reconciliation. I feel like I've said reconciliation a lot, but that's...
I think
Do you mean
along the same
reconciliation
kind of
between
lines, like
Helena and the princess? Like
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Reconciliation?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean too?
No, I don't.
okay.
I don't know if that's what I mean.
Okay. I was just trying to understand what.
I think I'm trying to say like that. That instead of them going about it in such a literal way, I don't know. I don't know. Unless that is what you're supposed to get from it, and they just use the literal way as a messaging for it. Where like this is like it just, because as I don't know that it's an examination of parenting as much as it's an examination of her, of Helena. And
Well, I mean, the video essay we saw that Simona sent us talked about that, and I could see that after I watched the movie, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, that, yeah.
so we're just absolving. We're just
Right. Well,
absolving the kid altogether.
This is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. Like there wasn't like.
I see what you mean. The way, because throughout because while Helena is in like the dream world, assuming like if we're supposed to assume yes, she's very much dreaming, like none of this is like there's no magical element at all involved, so it's like her subconscious mind working through her guilt.
Yeah.
Basically, so in the dream world, she has, it's sort of like a way for her to say, oh, I can help my mom. So like in her dream, like let's just take it's like literally it's just subconscious. So she says, okay, my dark self, the princess, caused the world to go into chaos. When I shouted at my mom and said, you know, I wish I was the death of you, she got a tumor and now she's in the hospital. I caused that. So for her, it's like in the dream, she's working it out. she is sort of trying to absolve herself or sort of rectify what she perceives, which she's not responsible for her mom getting a tumor.
No.
But in her mind, if her mom dies, will her mom really know, oh, I never meant that? And you see in the moments when she's talking to the queen / her mom and they're working things out, like you see when she's lying on like her on the queen and the queen is talking to her, it's her like basically like trying to absolve that. I know I said too many times, but it's like her trying to work out her guilt. And in the end, finding the mirror mask, she's setting things right. So metaphorically, she sort of merges, switch places, and at the end, when her dad basically tells her the surgery went well, we don't see what happens afterwards. So let's assume she went to the hospital, hugged her mom, apologized profusely for what she said. And you see when she's in the circus, her demeanor is different. She's happier. Even with her mom, like they're smiling. So we're supposed to assume, I don't know how much time has passed. I think they mentioned it, but I forgot.
They don't mention.
Yeah, that there is healing that's taking place.
Yeah.
So their relationship has grown where basically the mom understands Helena and Helena understands her mom.
Right.
Granted, we don't see any of this, so we're supposed to assume this is what's occurred.
Right. I think one of the issues I have with this movie is that the movie has been showing things quite literally, like the mirror mask, like, you know, just the stuff that we've mentioned, that then they go and don't like show us the reconciliation between her and her mom, and we're only supposed to assume that it did happen. I think the continuity of that did not sit, not that it didn't sit well with me. I was just kind of like, so you were being literal throughout the entire movie, and then you're just going to have us assume that everything's all sunshine and rainbows and everything's fine.
Yeah, like, I guess it depends on if it's a literal thing, if it's in her brain, like, we don't know. I like to think it actually is happening, but that's just how I'm interpreting it.
Right.
That she has entered another world. You know,
so if
it's almost like an Alice in Wonderland kind of a thing.
What lesson is she learning?
Yeah.
Well, because, like, remember when she finds the mirror mask and the Dark Princess, like, crumbles the last paper and she says, oh my god, she's won. But then you see there's a final door, like a window, and she says, and basically the princess says, I just want to live my life. And she says, real life, you couldn't handle real life, which is what her mom told her. She was like saying, I don't think you could handle real life. So I think through her experience, because when she's in this dream world, so think of it, she's thrust into this unfamiliar world. She has a companion, but he's essentially someone like he could turn on her, and he literally does turn on her. So she has to navigate this world, which if you think about it, she wanted to be an adult. Now she's an adult. Basically, she's thrown in there, says, okay, figure it out for yourself now. Training wheels are off. So she's going through the world, and she has to rely on herself. Because even like that creepy woman in the office who whispers like, don't show any fear, with like the cat people.
The
like,
sphinxes?
Those were weird.
Yeah.
Those I did not.
Yeah, like, so much like Sarah in the Labyrinth, because, like, Sarah's issue is that she feels that her father and stepmom don't love her. Like, they love Toby more than you love me. And she's throwing tantrums. But in the Labyrinth, she starts off very much as like, oh my god, what am I doing here? And then she grows.
Right.
And then by the end of it, you can see that she's changed by the experience.
Right.
It doesn't mean there won't be ups and downs, but, like, she has changed somewhat.
Right.
So with Helena, the way I interpret it
Yeah.
is that through her experiences in this world, she is starting to realize, okay, you know, because even when she talks about, like, to the Dark Mother, and she says, you know, you have to give your daughter freedom. And she says, oh, do you mean, like, respect her opinions? Allow her to dress it? She's like, yeah. And she goes, no, thank you. So, like, Helena is like, the dark side is like the dark side that Helena perceives in her mom, like where you don't respect me, you know. But obviously the mother respects her, just the mother is trying to protect her. And I think at the end, Helena has realized that. Like I said, they jump time and you don't see any of that.
Right.
But I think it's assumed like how like that they're like waving to each other, they're smiling, that something has changed.
Yeah.
That it's no longer going to be the same as it was before. And like I said, in the Labyrinth, the original film, that's kind of indicated somewhat, not completely, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just
That-
felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're
Like
supposed to...
it needed a little
Yeah.
emotional
Weight.
push, you know,
Yeah.
like
Cause I don't know how you felt about it, Lewis, but like all the flow to the end, like with like the movie was fine, but just like when we got to the end, it felt kind of like rushed.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so
Definitely
it's not
rushed.
just me. Okay, yeah, because it felt very rushed, and the emotional weight of it. Yeah, we find out that her mother's cancer was taken out, that she's gonna be fine. That's great and everything, but then there wasn't anything leading up. Like there was no
Yeah.
leading up to that. Like there was
Yeah.
no like Helena saying I'm sorry to her mom, that I didn't mean anything that I said when they were at the hospital. It's just we then come to the circus, and her mom's back in the ticket booth, and she like blows her a kiss, and Helena smiles, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
where is everything else that leads up to that?
Yeah, like I know there's a moment when Helena goes to visit her mom and she goes like, I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And that's when Helena says to her father like, I haven't apologized so that she'll believe that I mean it.
Right.
So
Right. So yeah, I mean, so she says
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but then we don't get that like tie off that
Yeah.
particular part of the story in the movie.
Yeah.
If they did that, then I would have felt like the ending was deserved.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, you don't get that gut punch, you know, you
Yeah.
don't get the emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like it would have also been nice. Like there's a scene where you see like the Dark Queen and the princess embrace. So
Yeah.
maybe it's supposed to indicate that the Dark Queen, although I doubt it. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
That she's learned from that experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Like I guess it all depends on what you believe the ultimate purpose of the film is, whether it's just like Helena's growth or Helena's realization that, her mom means well, that parents aren't perfect,
Yeah.
that they do what they can. Like if that's the point, if it's supposed to be a critique of like mother-daughter relationships, which, you get glimpses of the relationship. You don't get the full picture.
Right.
So if that's what they were going for, then I can understand we need a bit more.
Right.
Like you have more time with Helena and her father. Like you get a better sense of what their relationship is like.
Yeah.
Versus with the mom.
Right.
So I guess it really depends. Like maybe had it been Helena has a antagonist with the dad, it would have been the same. You probably would have
Right.
gotten more with the mom, but like the dad, well, I have no clue how this relationship works.
Right.
So
right.
I guess it depends on what they were going for, like whether or not they like.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I
Which
get, but I can understand. I can see both.
Yeah, which I think like the message got, like for me, got very muddled in the
Yeah.
middle of it. It's like, yeah, well, she says that she's sorry to her dad, that she didn't mean to say those words to her mom, but
Yeah.
and there's some form of like almost reconciliation within this dream world, but
Yeah.
is it a real world or is it a dream world? That's not indicated in any way.
Yeah.
Because she wakes up on the roof of this apartment complex.
Yeah.
So it's like, was this real? Was this all in her head?
Yeah.
And then we don't get that tie off of that story, and then it's just like, oh, everything's okay now.
Also, what an awesome, like, view from that apartment complex.
Yes.
Beachfront, ocean front. My gosh, like that. And these are like, poor circus people.
I think they're working class. I think they're meant to show as being working class.
Yeah, like
No,
she's
but that's
staying
a-
with the grandmother, so that's the grandmother's apartment.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great location. Mm-hmm. My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, the building looks weathered
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
because of the
Absolutely.
salt water. But
Yeah, like one of the reasons why I
nice.
lean toward it being real is when you see the actor who plays Valentine in the dream world, and he basically says, because remember when Valentine eats the fruit, and he has like it jumps to where he's in the real world as a waiter
Yeah.
in that scene where he eats the
Yeah.
the peach or whatever it is that weird old lady gives them. And you basically see where he's in the real world and he's like being terrible as being a waiter. And in the end, when he says, "Oh, I always thought about joining the circus," and Helena says, "Yeah, because you would have made a crappy
a terrible
waiter."
waiter,
And he
yeah.
goes, and like basically saying you're right. So that kind of makes me feel like it's not completely in her head.
Yeah.
But then again, it could just be a way to throw it off, and so.
Yeah, and again, I understand what you're saying, but again, it was like I'm confused now. Now I'm just confused because it's again, there's no like in Labyrinth. In Labyrinth, we know that this is like a real place for Sarah. Real dream.
Yeah, like people have. I kind of believe she does. I tend to be the one where it's like it really did happen, and they're like, no, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
So like I don't really know.
Right, but like in this world, it's like there's no indication of whether or not this was real, whether or not it was all in Helena's head, like I said before, and then we don't get. And granted, not every story has a nice bow tying off the end of it, but I didn't feel that there was any emotional weight deserving the ending we got. And I know I'm like repeating. I feel like I'm repeating myself.
Yeah, no.
And then for the character who played Valentine, who's supposedly Valentine in this other world, reappears. It's like, yeah, we saw him in the dream world, but there was no interaction with him and Helena in the real world in order to have that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She only saw him through this window into what was going on.
And I think it's another assumption because like with her world, they're her drawings.
Right.
So I'm going back to Labyrinth because this film is supposed to be a successor of sorts to the Labyrinth film, which is the only reason why I bring this up.
Right.
So in the Labyrinth movie, you see that the world of the maze is populated by things already in Sarah's room. So like the Hoggle, those weird fire creatures that pop their heads off in the film. Freaky. The Goblin King statue is in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like the weird character that like Sir something or other is a knight character is a doll that she owns.
Yeah.
So if we're going with she's having a major like trip, or like her mind has cracked or whatever. So she's built this labyrinth to sort of navigate the feelings she's experiencing. So she's populating it with things that bring her comfort.
Right.
So if we're going with that, then she's never stepped foot in the labyrinth. The Goblin King is fake, which I don't really believe. But anyway, let's go with it's completely fake.
Right.
In this case, the world she's imagined, because she even says, oh, I'm dreaming. I recognize this place. It's her drawings. Because she finds comfort in drawing things.
Right.
Maybe like, my whole point, where was my point? My point was that she populated the world with what she knows. So let's argue for sake the guy who plays Valentine, maybe she saw him one day and boom, she made him Valentine or whatever.
Right.
That's why I kind of lean the fact that you see him kind of makes me believe, oh, maybe it's real. But I don't know.
Right.
I'm okay with the ambiguity of it.
I'm
like,
okay.
That's not really,
That's,
it just felt like it was missing a little something for me.
Right.
Like,
so, and like I said, I'm not arguing that the ambiguity isn't good.
No.
But what I'm like saying is that with the character who's supposedly supposed to be Valentine comes back at the end, it's like, how is that relationship supposed to did they have interaction outside in like the real world for that interaction to take place? Because it just fell flat to me.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah.
No one might know.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think the ending that we got should have been the ending we got, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
Nothing that I saw in the movie leads up to that. In my, like, yes, we know the mom is fine, but it's like, where is the rest of it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I was pretty fine with everything until it just, I think I wanted that tearjerker moment. You know, I wanted to listen to my heart, you know?
Oh my goodness.
You know, when it's calling for you. You know what I mean? Like,
they could have, like, you know, if they wanted to make the reconciliation with Helena and her mom, like, happen, but we don't see it off camera, she could have been exiting the hospital, and there's the actor who was playing Valentine, that she saw a waiter being a waiter walking down the street,
Oh,
and
you
they
don't
have
want that guy being her doctor, right? Oh,
and then
I
they
think
have
you're
an
being the doctor.
no, and they have an
I was
interaction.
like, mother ain't surviving that.
And they have like a brief interaction on the street, and then they see each other again at the circus. I mean, it didn't make sense to me. It bothered me, Simona. It bothered me.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of curious. I could probably find a video where people like, I'm just curious now. I'm gonna go try. Alrighty. So, do we want to do a rating, or do we just want to?
Of course, we always do a rating.
Okay. So.
What are we rating it out of? What were those muscled birds? Those muscular birds. It said
Bill
Bob.
and Tom.
Oh, they didn't say Bob?
Bob and Tom, maybe. Yeah.
That was Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, Bob. There's like Bob. It's the name of that of muscular birds.
Muscular bird.
So, I'll bat lead off, by the way.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
you always bad lead off.
I struggle with this because it's not my favorite movie.
Is it worse than Bubble?
Oh my god, nothing's worse than Bubble. It's not my favorite movie, but I enjoyed the story. And a movie that there aren't very many movies that give me the kind of that where I have a reaction the way I reacted. Like there aren't very many movies that give me nightmares that make me feel so nervous that I actually write down. And it wasn't until I wrote it down that I attributed it to kind of watching Mirrormask. So it wasn't like I dreamt it and I was like, oh, it's because I watched that creepy ass movie last night. Like it came later. So you can't dismiss it because it has an impact.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5, and I'm gonna say I'll never watch it again. But I'm gonna give it a 3.5, leaning towards a 4, honestly. The little kid was good, and everyone else was creepy. You ever see 40 Days and 40 Nights, the terrible movie with Josh Hartnett?
No.
That's the vampire movie, right? No.
No, that's 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
That's
Producer Joe chiming in because I remember that movie from childhood and it's scarring me because there's this scene where like he gets assaulted and then they're like,
Yeah.
"This is your fault."
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the kid in that kind of looks like the main girl in that, just younger in this. Just as an FYI.
I don't remember.
I
what the kid
don't
looks
think
like
they're
in
the
that.
same. I don't think they're the same. But I was like, oh, that looks like the girl from that terrible Josh Hartnett movie. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I would say if you're looking for some freaky stuff, give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst? Watch it once. I mean, this is the whole point of Strange Casserole, right? Does anybody really like any Strange Casserole movies? Are there? Yeah. No. All right.
well. This also comes from a woman who enjoys horror movies. So
Everybody enjoys horror movies.
I don't.
Well, like the original picks that I wanted, but unfortunately there weren't enough means for all of us to like, was What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, which I think is a beautiful film, which was my original pick. And then the second one was, I spoke about it earlier, The Fall by Tarsum Singh, which was another fantastic movie, but of course I couldn't find enough ways for us to watch it.
Right.
So those are my original two picks, and yeah, I've watched those films multiple times. Like, they're really good.
Most of what I watch is Strange Casseroles. So that's...
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it. Like, I could understand, like, this film had a very small budget.
Can I just quickly do my rating? And then
Sure,
we can,
yeah.
'cause I haven't rated anything
Sure,
yet.
yeah.
So I'm also going to give this a movie a 3.5 muscular birds.
Yeah, that's essentially what my rating would be,
Yeah,
too.
because although The story had its moments. The ending still felt very flat to me. And I enjoyed the music in this, but
Yeah.
I think that's probably about all that I did enjoy about the movie. Because the animation really freaked me out, and I just wanted to scrub my mind out of it. So
It's the cat. It's with the human faces.
Those were weird.
Yeah.
that's all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely give it 3.5 stars. I remember when I first watched it, I didn't make the Labyrinth connections, although when I was watching, I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me, but I didn't realize they were supposed to be connected in that sort of way. But like I said, it is available through our streaming service Canopy. It's also free on YouTube. We also have copies, DVD copies within the system as well. So yeah, I would definitely give it 3.5. Bob birds, muscular birds. Yeah. So yeah, like any last thing before I conclude? I don't
want to do a round of reader's advisory and give out some recommendations.
Oh, okay.
Well, you gotta watch Labyrinth, I guess, right? Like if you're,
Yeah.
I guess if you're gonna watch this, you gotta watch Labyrinth.
You could, I don't know, you could technically get away with not watching Labyrinth, but I think
Well, of course
Labyrinth
you-
is
of
the
course you
better
could.
film of the two, but
You can definitely get away with it.
Well, Labyrinth
But
is
it-
definitely better than this movie.
but do you want to go first with the recommend? Because it's going to take me a while.
Well, you know, I'd say if you liked this movie, then another good movie to watch would probably be I don't know, this movie just is not like anything else. I don't know. I don't know that I don't know. I don't think I have any suggestions with this one, just because it kind of like stands on its own. Like I don't know. It's just so creepy. Maybe another circus movie. What was the one that Heath Ledger did at the end, like his last one?
Oh, don't get on here recommending Imaginarium of Dr.
Yeah, that one.
Parnassus or whatever the hell.
I've always
one
wanted to watch that one.
I feel a certain way about Terry Gilliam. I won't get into it now.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't even think I finished it.
Okay.
But I know that he's like replaced with like 3 other people.
Yes,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the only one that comes to my mind.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah. I don't have anything for this one.
Even though I was unable to watch the entire movie, hence my off-camera positioning, I can throw out a couple recommendations, much like how librarians don't need to read an entire article to recommend it for research. Another circus, surreal, strange film, Santa Sangra. It's from the 80s, directed by Alejandro Jodorowsky. It is a bizarre film about growing up in the circus and having abusive parents and a lot of things, and it's into a lot of surreal imagery, a lot of Jungian psychology. Very cool stuff. Highly recommend it. And if you like the art of this film, check out some of Dave McKean's stuff.
Yeah,
He's-
he illustrated Coraline.
Yeah, he's a very prolific comic artist as well. He did the art for a Batman comic I'm sure I recommended on this podcast before, Arkham Asylum of Serious House on Serious Earth. And that is beautiful stuff.
So I guess like if I wanted to recommend films like that are sort of strange out there, it's the 2 films that I mentioned earlier. So one is What Dreams May Come, starring Robin Williams. And in the story, Robin Williams is a man who has passed away, and he's in the afterlife. And not to spoil too much, I mean, this is an element of the plot, so it's really not spoiling anything. He goes to his afterlife, and in this sort of conception of the afterlife is of your own making. So you create your afterlife. You have the power to create it as you see fit. But he finds out that his wife has sort of followed him in the afterlife, but unfortunately, since she committed suicide, she hasn't gone to heaven, she's gone to hell. So it's his journey to find her in hell and bring her back. But it's visually stunning, it's emotionally arresting, it's a beautiful film, so I would highly recommend that. The second one that I would recommend is The Fall by Tarsem Singh. And it's the story, it takes place in 1930s California. And Lee Pace is a stuntman who, because he has broken up with his girlfriend, he's experiencing emotional turmoil, tries to commit suicide and fails.
Jeez,
So-
what's with you in the depressing movies?
So he's paralyzed and he's in the hospital, and he meets a young girl who, she and her family are immigrants, and they work in an orange picking field. So she has fallen from the ladder and has broken her arm, so she's recovering. And it's the two of them coming together. And the world that you see in the film is the world of their dual making. So as he tells her a story, she fills in gaps. It shifts constantly. It sort of fits their emotional states at certain points. And it's both of them trying to come to terms with what they've experienced. And it's another beautiful film. Tarsem Singh is also the one who directed The Cell, which would have been another recommendation, but that's really into like sci-fi kind of horror. But it's another visually arresting, gorgeous film that he directed. So yeah, those would be my recommendations.
I like it. You know, the first one you mentioned actually made me think of, it's not good, but is it Chris Tucker where he dies and they realize they made a mistake, so they put him in the body of an old white man? What's that one?
I have no clue what this movie is.
We have to find the name of that. We're watching that. But that's what the first one made me think of. But it's not like that at all. It's just that he's dead.
Yeah.
And has like actual interactions with the afterlife and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm pretty sure it's Chris Tucker. Not Chris Tucker, Chris Rock.
Down to Earth.
That one, yeah.
I have never heard of this.
That one.
Oh, it's just a remake of Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Katie? You have any recommendations?
No, because I don't really watch strange movies on principle. 'Cause
Oh.
They freak me out.
Oh.
So, I mean, the only thing that I can recommend is Black Swan, the movie that I recommended for this.
Why don't you recommend the Chris Rock movie?
What's it called?
Down to Earth.
Down to Earth. I recommend Down to
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what that made me think of. It's really not good. It's really not a good movie. Well, lead us out, Simona.
All right.
Lead the way.
All right, so thanks for joining us for this discussion of Mirrormask.
No, thank you, Simona, for leading this discussion of Mirrormask.
Oh, thank you. I don't know whether you're being serious or not, because before
You keep saying Mirrormax instead of Mirrormask.
Do I keep saying
Yeah.
that?
You do, but I didn't want to say anything because I was accused earlier of can't have an opinion thing, so I didn't want to say anything. But
Well, no, if I'm saying
but you-
something wrong,
Well, I didn't want to.
you said my opinion, like you was like, no, that can't be it. But if I'm pronouncing something wrong, you can
It's
Just
okay.
just
It's
a big
okay.
fan of 90s Tarantino, you know?
love Mirrormax.
I couldn't tell if you were saying Mirrormax or Mirrormask, so I would have let you know.
So let's just go. It's a creative pronunciation of the title. So yeah, so thank you so much for joining the discussion. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.